Bada boom, bada bang, bada bop. We are back today with the Brooks Hyperion Elite 5. Highly anticipated racer out of the Brooks camp. Warren Buffett putting in work this summer. Hyperion Max 3 just dropped. This just dropped, and I'm going to be testing it and letting you know all the details. Now, if you're looking for a new race shoe, maybe the Hyperion Elite 5, or maybe the Saucony Endorphin Elite 2, or maybe the Adidas Adios Pro 4, you got to make sure you're on the Supball app. Matter of fact, today, I saw a deal go up on the app for this below MSRP. So we have the best buy, sell, and trade marketplace. We also have people who will find deals all around the internet, whether that's other marketplace sites or other local running stores who put out good deals. A lot of people have deals on the Evo SL, et cetera, people will post it on the app. So if you're looking for a new shoe and you want to have a deal, get on the app. Or if you're looking for a new community of people putting in the work daily, stacking mileage, getting after it, make sure you get on the app. Enjoy today's video. Brooks Hyperion Elite 5. Highly anticipated. Who would have thought, man? People are hyped to see this thing. So we're going to do the first run review today. This is the latest and greatest marathon racing shoe from Brooks. Hopefully it's better than this thing right here. This is the old one, the Hyperion Elite 4 PB. Definition of mid. Nothing wrong with it. Just, well, there was some things wrong with it. It wasn't the most exciting, but brand new shoe here in this box, Hyperion Elite 5. We've seen a lot of racing shoes and just new releases right now. I was talking about this yesterday. July 1st, for some reason, I think it's the start of the second half of the year. So brands unleash the back of their lineup. So from Brooks, we've just seen the Hyperion Max 3. They also did the Launch 11, the Hyperion 3, and now this guy. And Brooks is in the middle of a transition from old Brooks to new Brooks. This shoe right here was a transition product, the Hyperion 4 PB. It had the old Brooks race shoe design, and the first version of it actually had the old Brooks foam, the non-PBA foam here. And then they did a PB update because they were cyber bullied into it and added the DNA Gold PBA foam into the midsole. Now, other new Brooks shoes. What is new Brooks? New Brooks is bangers. New Brooks is comfort, max stack, top of the pile when it comes to performance. This is the new Brooks shoe right here. Glizzy Max, Glycerin Max. You get the thick stack of foam, DNA tuned, nice rocker geometry, really different than anything else on the market. Pioneering comfort and fun and cushion for long distances. And yes, there's other shoes like this that came out before, Asics Superblast, for example, but this is one of the first ones that really leaned into comfort being the maximum lever dialed up, right? The Superblast is more about speed, and if you even look at the marketing copy on the Superblast page, they all talk about elite performance, lightweight. No, this is leaning into comfort for the long distance, and really cool shoe, and I like that Brooks did that because they are a comfort brand. If you look at the standard Glizzy, if you look at the Ghost, people buy those things by the hundreds of thousands per year because they're comfortable shoes. You go into a store, you put on the Adrenaline, you put on the Ghost, you put on the Glizzy, and it just feels good, so you walk out with it. Now, the latest new Brooks shoe is this guy, Hyperion Max 3. I got one run in it on, what was it, Monday? Was it Monday? Yes, it was Monday. I would call it a first run review, but now I think first run review is a full run review. That's a full review. You don't expect any other follow-ups from me, because here's the thing. I do a second video on a shoe like yesterday, Rocket X3. People are complaining about second videos. I also saw somebody complaining, you do too many follow-ups on shoes. I literally run in the shoes that I like. It's not a follow-up. I'm just training in it, so I talk about it. So yeah, we did the first run review on this. I don't know when I'm going to get more miles in it. I definitely will get more miles in it soon. And just the thing, man, you guys are going to lose your privileges of reviews in general. Complaining about follow-ups, talking about where's this shoe, you shouldn't talk about the Rocket again, bro. That's the testing process. We get the shoes, we do multiple runs in them to see them. If they're trash or just not my favorite, like the Rocket wasn't trash, just wasn't my favorite, I'll move on to something else. But I do like getting multiple runs and stacking miles in the shoes that I really enjoy, and this one was one that I did really enjoy. So this is a max cushion speed trainer. I don't even know what to call this category of shoes. For a long time, it was called super trainers, but here's the thing. Is the Endorphin Speed 5 a super trainer? I think you would argue yes, because that was one of the shoes that pioneered the category. Okay, well then, is the Saucony Endorphin trainer a super trainer? Does Saucony have two super trainers? And if the Saucony Endorphin trainer is not, because it has standard EVA, what about this? What about the Adidas Boston 13? Is the Adidas Boston 13 a super trainer? How about the Adidas Prime X Strong 3, right? So that's why I don't like that word, and it's just these things lose meaning. But the types of runs that this is going to be best for: longer runs, runs where you want speed assistance, runs where you actively want bounce and a faster, more aggressive experience. And that's the thing with a lot of the shoes on the market today. It's all about what kind of experience you're seeking, not so much about the pure function and capability, because 95% of the daily runs you're going to be doing, if you're getting out here doing some aerobic base building miles, zone 2, zone 3, everything but a all-out mile time trial or fast 200-meter repeats you can do in just about any shoe, right? Going out for a 10-mile run at a 6:50 pace, I could do that in the Hyperion Max 3, or I could do that in the Glizzy Max. Point being here, Brooks has a lot of great new shoes in the lineup. These two, I'm hoping that the Hyperion Elite 5 fits into the new Brooks frame and not the old Brooks frame. There's nothing wrong with old Brooks. It was just a lot of mid, a lot of let's not do anything to mess things up. Let's be reliable. Let's be safe. That's what the Hyperion Elite 4 PB was to me, and why it was not a banger. It was safe. It was reliable. It was nothing weird. And also, the ride just didn't have the same pop that I like from some of my favorites, which we have over here. I'll get into them a little bit later, but Sky Tokyo, DV8 Nitro Elite 3, and Adidas Adios Pro 4. Not that this is one of my absolute favorites, but one of the top shoes in the category right now that the Brooks will have to knock off if it wants the crown. So with that, let's take out the Hyperion Elite 5. I was going to say PB. No, it's just Hyperion Elite 5 for the full review. Today is the full review. We're going to do 6 miles, and that's it. And I'm never talking about the shoe again, because we're only allowed to do one review now. All right. Bada boom. Bada bang. Ooh. You know what this colorway reminds me of? You know the Kendrick song? If Pyrus and Crips all got along, they probably coming out. Yeah, it's got the red and the blue. It's actually not as red and blue as I thought online. It's more of a cotton candy red and a cotton candy blue. It also does not feel the lightest weight, interestingly. Yeah, compared to, man, this is over 200 grams, it feels like, on my size. But design is sweet. I'm not actually sure what the biggest changes are when it comes to the product and the function here, because you still do have the DNA gold. What they've done is they've added these weird compression things, these split balls, and I don't know if that is actually going to add any sort of different ride experience, or if it's just a pure design flair. But it looks really sweet. The rocker looks nice. Look at that. Ooh, look at that. Yeah, the thing that I didn't love about the 4 was that the midfoot experience, it just got mushy. This DNA gold foam did not have the same aggression and pop as the other race shoes. Now, in the Hyperion Max 3, it did. So that's one of the things that I'm curious about. Let's do a push test here. So Hyperion Elite 4 PB, mid, Hyperion Elite 5, potentially less mid. No, sir, it's certainly potentially less mid. It does feel different. Plate position looks roughly similar. I'm guessing they revised it. I'm not sure. Stack looks really similar too. This almost looks like they just put a new, you know those phone cases people used to have for the sidekicks and everything? You put the new phone case on the sidekick. This just looks like they reskinned the Hyperion Elite 4 PB. I was excited about this, but now having it in my hands, it doesn't look like it's going to be all that different from the 4. Anyway. New rubber on the bottom, new rubber layout. Look at that. They closed up the hole. I like that. No gimmicks on the bottom here. Closed up the hole. I'm wondering if that will give more pep and pop in the midfoot, because, again, that was one of my issues with the 4, it felt hollow and like I couldn't drive power through the midfoot, like something was just missing there. And now that I'm looking at it, something literally was missing there. There was a gigantic chunk of foam missing there. And sometimes I think these cutouts are more for aesthetics and weight-saving ego versus actual performance. So I like that there's no cutout here. This rubber also looks pretty cool. Again, it has this candy vibe. It looks like one of those gummy candies, like a peach gummy or something. A really cool, glowing but matte vibe to it. And then the foam itself is ribbed too. Now, yeah, pushing this in definitely feels like PIBA. Almost feels like Zoom X. I wonder if it's going to crinkle once we get some miles in there. But yeah, this is feeling very Zoom X-y to me. And the Hyperion Elite 4 did as well. It just, yeah, it didn't completely hit. But I'm thinking that's what the best version of the 5 can be. If it can deliver that Vaporfly 2 feel in a modern package, that could be a banger. That could be a banger. And the package itself looks pretty sweet. I was joking about the Pyrus Crips colorway or the Cotton Candy colorway. Not my favorite, but I do like it better than the Hoka. It does look like a race shoe. Here's the thing. You see this bright blue and the bright pink red, and you can tell 100% this is a race shoe. So not my personal favorite. And sometimes when I say that, then I think, okay, well, I also criticize the Rocket for being bad. But let me show you 3 great colorways. Boom. That's how you do a good colorway. I think having the white midsole can always, or often, almost always save a bad or a mid colorway. If they did this with a white midsole, that would have looked a lot better in my opinion. Another one, boom, and look, you have the white midsole, Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 3. That's a great colorway. And then the all white, this is just super clean. I love that in the Adios Pro 4. So, looks okay. Foam, hopefully, is an update from the last one. Let's get some specs. So the new frontier in racing shoes is lightweight. It's a race to the bottom. Example 1 here, the Asics Metaspeed Sky Tokyo, 175 grams in my size 10.5. The other one actually came in at 169, which is just wild. And if you look at one of the releases from last year, the end of last year, but I would call this a transition product too, a transition from the older types of shoes to the new ones, 216 grams in the Adios Pro 4, man, which is just, that's a crazy difference, 175 versus 216. It's not like the Adios feels heavy. And then another one here, another one of my favorites, Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 3. So what I love this shoe for, and it became so clear recently when I took out the Rocket X3, is that it has this very simple ride to it. No gimmicks. There's no crazy cutouts. It's not an aggressive geometry. Well, it's aggressive enough to run fast. The foam doesn't feel too soft. It just has everything I want for fast running. It responds well when I pick up the pace. You get good pop in the forefoot. The plate position is nice. You still get some good cushion and comfort above it without it getting too mushy. The grip is great, so you can train in this thing a lot. I mean, look at this. I think I have close to 100 miles on this guy, and it's in really good shape, especially for a race shoe. So that's why this is still top of the pile for me. I think we're going to have to, I don't know if this is going to leave the top 3 of the race shoe power rankings, because it is just a super reliable, great training partner. And the other thing is $230. I mean, I buy everything because I want to test everything, but for someone who's budget conscious and is using that as a decision, $230 versus the Tokyo here is $270, right? So great value and great ride. And then just quick on the Adios Pro 4. This is one of the most popular ones right now. People love the soft, bouncy feel. Not my absolute favorite, and I don't love how they've done this cutout on the bottom here. To me, it just makes it feel gimmicky and sticky at some points, but I have gotten some really good workouts out of this pair. I didn't like the size up that I had, or half size up that I had. A lot of people said to half size up when this first came out. Well, guess what? A lot of people were wrong. Go true to size if you want to have a good time in the Adios Pro 4. So with that, let's see where the Hyperion Elite comes in. I can tell you right now, this is not later than the Tokyo. This might even be around 210. Yeah, that's not good, man. That's not good. I just did a whole song and dance about how these last gen shoes were heavier. Now this guy is heavier than the other one. So 220 is not gonna feel like a heavy shoe, but gosh, they've been hyping this thing up for a while now, and they even did the half measure of the. Oh, is that? Tell me that's not. That's tough. Yeah, that's tough. That is tough. QA check. Oh, look at that. Well, the QA check was you had some difference. So the lighter of the two of my mismatched pair here, the lighter of the two is the same weight as the last version. Look at that. Okay, so same exact weight as the last version, or potentially slightly heavier. That's not great. It's not great to have your new flagship racer be heavier than your half measure race shoe, man. Come on, these are the things that I just don't know if the brands think about them. And the weight isn't everything, but it is a big deal. That is the latest frontier in the elite racing product. So that straight up tells me this isn't going to be in the top category. I think you might have to be below 200 in my size right now to be in contention for top race shoe spot. Fast R3 is below 200, right? The Evo is below 200. For me, it's not going to matter. For a lot of people, it's not going to matter. But for the Brooks Elite athletes, they're actually putting those guys at a disadvantage because over the course of a race, a 20% weight difference can add up. 175 versus 220. That's not great. I'm hoping that the ride is great and a lot different from the 4PB. But yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it. I guess my question here is, what is different? What is going to be so different about this than the last one? If it's the same exact weight and foam and everything just looks super similar. Anyway, measuring it in here, 38 millimeters in the back. I do like how there are no gimmicks to the rear construction. You have the foam jutting off the back here, which mean it's a good shoe, or at least a solid shoe for heel strikers. The width is decently solid. Let's take a quick measurement of this here. All right, heel width. Look at that, 82 millimeters. If we take a look at the Tokyo here, that is 74 millimeters. So wider than the Tokyo, also heavier. Also wider than the last version, 78. So they have beefed up the platform. That's interesting because the weight hasn't changed. So I wonder if they kept the width the same, if it would have been lighter. Probably, right? Puma is just about as wide, 83 millimeters. And let's see, Adios Pro 4, 78 millimeters. So yeah, specs are decent. I won't say they're competitive. They're not bad for a race shoe. It's just compared to the tip of the spear products, this is not it. And to my knowledge, Brooks doesn't have a Hyperion Elite Pro Elite coming out or anything like that. So this is going to be the one that their elites choose. Meanwhile, Adidas has another option. So does Asics in the Ray, which is also going to be affordably priced compared to the Adidas one. That's going to be about $300. So yeah, it's just confusing to me that the specs on this aren't more competitive, especially given that Brooks already has this guy right here, which I ran in last week. Because your argument could be, okay, maybe the Hyperion Elite isn't for their elite marathons, or they want it to be more accessible to a wide variety of runners. That's exactly why a shoe like the Hyperion Max 3 exists. They even raised the price of this up to 200 and added in more of the race foam to make it more of a viable racing option for people who are going to be running 4-hour marathons and around that. And it felt beautiful for those paces, and even felt beautiful for me at 5:56 flat pace. So I'm a little confused here at the specs. I was hoping for it to be more competitive. I don't know. Let's get it on foot and see. Looks like the Peg Plus right here, where they have that stripe going down from the OG Peg Turbo. The design is sweet. That's probably the best part of this shoe. I also like that there's no Brooks logo on this, I'm noticing, right? It's just the word mark down the side. It's cool. It almost has that prototype vibe. And man, my foot's not even fully in this. This is ZoomX. That's crazy. This feels so similar to ZoomX. Yeah, that's my highest hope for this shoe, is that it can be what the Vaporfly 4 is not. And honestly, on step-in, it feels like it might be able to do that. If this can give that soft bounce with the quick response of the Vaporfly 2, that floating along feel, where you just tap up on the front and it has you going, that could be a banger. I already know it's not going to be as fast and aggressive. I can just feel from this geometry, the construction, the weight. It's not going to be as fast and aggressive as the Fast R3 or what's the new one that the Tokyo. Yeah, probably not going to be in that category. But if this can be in that floaty cruiser category, could be a banger. So that's my one hope that I'm holding out for this being a banger. But lacing it up here, man. Hyperion Elite 5 upper, dialed. So good. That was another thing that was great about the last version. And also, coincidentally, another thing that's been great about the Vaporfly historically. So this does seem like a true Vaporfly competitor. And it's funny because when we were doing the overview section, I did not have the Vaporfly out here because it is not one of my favorite shoes. And I actually put, when I did my ranking, the entire race shoe ranking, everything that came out in 2025 up to a few weeks ago when I was going on vacation, I had the Hyperion Elite 4 PB and the Vaporfly right next to each other. They're either 7 or 8 or 6 and 7. And they were in the category of the middle shoes that I would consider racing in, but gave me nothing. No fun, no enjoyment. I put them higher up above the shoes like the Tracksmith Elliott Racer because they were faster, but just don't have as much pep. So if this can just slightly nudge above the Vaporfly and the Hyperion Elite 4 PB with some slight tuning of the foam, and we'll see if these bubbles give us anything different, could be a banger. But yeah, on step in here, I like the way this feels. This upper is super nice. Step in is fantastic. Slightly narrower upper here though. Stability is not that bad. Get a squish test here. Yeah, and the foam isn't as squishy. And what I've found is the Pibas, this is a last gen foam, right? This is a classic Piba race foam. They're not as squishy as the TPUs and TPEEs. So hopefully shouldn't have the too soft problem. What we can have as a problem though in the midfoot and the forefoot of these Pibas is mushiness. That was something with the Hyperion Elite 4 and also with the Vaporflies. Let's do a quick walk test to get a check. Dude, it is crazy how much this feels like a Vaporfly. It feels like the two, parts of it feel like the two, the upper of the two, how dialed it is. Even the tongue, I'm noticing now. Very similar tongue to the two. And then same thing, oh, we got some flowers over here. Same thing with the forefoot. the cushion. So that is my hope for the shoe. Can this be a Vaporfly 2 dupe? Can it be that replacement for the 2? Can it be a slightly better version of the 3, which had too much mushiness in the front? What it does have going for it, let's ignore the weight for a sec, is the rocker, the upper, and just that dialed feel. It is so dialed, baby. I mean, look at this. The execution of this upper is top notch. This is an A+ upper, A+ fit and feel for a race shoe. This has got me excited. Just from the feel of it, the vibe, the weight, I don't think this is probably going to be my absolute favorite because I like tad more aggression and maybe even firmness, but this could be up there, man. This could be up there. I do have a special place in my heart for the Vaporfly 2. So with that, let's go out there. We're going to do another send today. I'm going to do another 5-mile tempo. This was the follow-up to yesterday. I was teasing it. This was my plan the whole time, but I didn't say it yesterday. I did a 5-mile tempo yesterday, and we're going to follow it up with another 5-mile tempo today. This is the limo training system. You got to have an acronym all the time. Less impressive, more often. Less impressive training, more often. So I don't know if I'm going to get down to marathon pace today, but at least 6 flat, which was my last marathon pace. We'll start off there and see if we can work our way down. Will be a good test of these and a good test of our fitness to see where we're at. Let us do it. Man, that fit and feel really got me excited. Specs might be mid, but the feel is great. Let's go. Woo! All right, holding out hope. I'm holding out hope. Very Vaporfly-ish. Also, very 4 PB-ish. With a more substantial midfoot. Yeah, it doesn't feel all that different from the 4. But the slight changes, we'll see. Maybe they'll be enough to elevate it out of the valley of mid. Yeah, early overreaction here, solid. Solid to good. Definitely not bad. Good bounce. The plate position seems nice. Doesn't feel like the toe off is going to be as explosive as my favorites, like the Tokyo and the Fast R3, but a chunkier heel for comfort and overall more relaxed platform. Still does have some of that carbon clapping vibe. That was my issue with the 4 PB. I could really feel the carbon. Yeah, solid to good so far. But this is just the warm-up, so get a few miles of warm-up and then start the tempo. Yeah, I felt this in the 4 PB too. I can feel that carbon on the front. I don't love that feel. Mott 1, 712. So far, this is very solid. Closing up that cutout in the midfoot helped a lot with the feel. It's just more substantial. I can feel that it's not as light as the
A+ shoes, but not a heavy shoe. Yeah, very solid. This feels like the Andy Dalton of race shoes. Anybody know what the Dalton line is? It feels like the Dalton line. All right, I'm gonna throw in some strides here. .503 pace. Yeah, toe off, good, but not great. Very solid. Yeah, the similarities to Vaporfly 2, uncanny. The forefoot feel with the plate snap and the fluffiness, very similar. Very similar. And with the way the foam is shaped too, from the bird's eye view above, very similar. It looks like a Vaporfly, man. From the view above, it feels like a Vaporfly. If they drop this in white and orange, dude, Spider-Man meme. All right, all warmed up. This is feeling good on the strides. Forefoot is popping right off. It's quick. I feel better in this than the Rocket, that's for sure. Definitely a faster shoe than the Rocket. And I did the same run yesterday in that one, so this will be an interesting comparison. All right, about to hit mile 2. I'll start the tempo. Boom. Yeah, so quick. That's the Vaporfly Zoom X feel, man. The quick toe off, not aggressive, but you're floating, popping along like a hummingbird. This has that feel. This is good. Tempo mile 1, 5:42. Boys talking about get a coach. I just hired a coach. His name is Professor Damon Time. Tempo mile 2, 5:41. Mobbing. You wasn't with me showing in a gym. Oh. 2 more. Tempo mile 4, 5:40. This is good work. 1 more. Man, my legs want to go. Hold fire. Hold fire. We don't need to. Just cruise home. We got this. This is the best I've felt at marathon pace this year. Finish on the hill. Let's go. Last mile, 5:48. Baby. Locked in. Bringing that Chicago 2024 feel back. I can feel it. Limo. less impressive more often. What I tell you yesterday, for the real ones who watch that video, even though it was on an old, outdated shoe that nobody cares about, the Hoka Rocket X3 that released 10 days ago. But no, what I said yesterday was bringing the volume of these workouts down in the summer, splitting them up, but doing it more often. So 5 mile tempo yesterday, 5 mile today, and the weather brought us a gift. It's about 70 and it's gray today. This is the best you're gonna get in the Carolinas. So perfect summer running weather. And I just hit that so smooth. Was at about 540 the entire time. I think my fastest mile was the last one at 538. And my slowest was the second or third at a 543, I think, which is exactly goal marathon pace. So that was awesome, man. We were moving in these things. I felt so much better in this than the Rocket. And it's funny because they're the same exact weight. Maybe the Rocket is, I don't know, 2 grams heavier or something, but functionally the same exact weight. This just feels so much lighter on foot, so much easier to turn over. And I wasn't thinking about how I was landing as much. I was for my own purposes of I want to land a certain way to run faster, but not on the shoe. You can really land anywhere, and closing up that cutout made a huge difference. So I'm not going to delete what I said earlier because it still is on the heavier side for a new race shoe, but I think the trade-off here is worth it. The extra 10, 15 grams for a more substantial platform feel. I'm close. I'm close to having the I'm not gonna do it. It's coming. It's almost coming out. Really good though. That's what I'll say. Really good. This is definitely gonna warrant a long run test. Oh man, I'm literally cold right now on this cool down from the wind. That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. And you put in the work in the summer, you get faster. People have all sorts of heat, acclimation, adaptation protocols. I don't get that, because what am I gonna do to adapt to the heat? Or differently, I have to run every day at certain times. I'm not gonna do anything differently. That's how you adapt to the heat. You're like the people who ask, how do you get your everyday pace faster? How do you get your long run pace faster? Run every day. That's how you adapt to the summer heat. Just run every day in it. Boys out here drinking beet juice, try to get faster. Make it make sense. The weather does make a huge difference though. My heart rate's already down in the 130s. 4 minutes roughly after we stopped that workout. Meanwhile, I had relax runs earlier this week, or just everyday runs, where I was getting up into the 160s, 170s, just by virtue of running in the 98 degree heat. So that's the thing, man. In the summer, what I've come to learn training down here, you just gotta run. And even that terrible long run I had in the Magnify with the 10-minute pace, I was just running. Because that's all you can do. Just stack the mileage. Man, one good thing about that run too is my legs felt stronger than my lungs, which rarely happens because I run high mileage. I'm aerobically very strong compared to my legs, especially at marathon pace. But today, man, at marathon pace, I felt really strong. And at the end, usually at the end, oh gosh, What the? Oh my goodness. It's a barefoot mafia trying to take us out. You see that? Yeah, usually I've been fading at the end of these marathon pace tempos, or at least just pressing to feel like I need to run harder at the end to maintain the pace. Today I picked it up and I was pushing at the end on the hill because it was a big uphill. But I didn't feel I was pressing as much. Just felt smoother. So that's the threshold work finally paying off. Because May and June, man, I had some really good threshold workouts. 4 by 2 miles at threshold in the heat. Did that one a few times. It was the Alphafly versus Fast R3 comparison video, and then the Fast R3 versus Adios Pro 4. And then 2 by 3 miles at least one time. So I mean, that's 3 workouts right there. I think I might have done one more, but about a month to 5-6 weeks of threshold work. And now this marathon pace is about 10 seconds faster per mile than I was running those, and it's starting to feel relatively smooth. And that's also back to back, because we went 5 at 2:30 marathon pace yesterday as well. So there you go. Limo. Warren Buffett might be single-handedly keeping PIBA alive with this one. I might have to go invest in some polyether block amide futures right after we get off of this. It's a buy. Go buy up all those PIBA shares. I'm short in TPU. Hey, Vic, get down to the trading floor. We're short in TPU. Last mile here. I'm glad we had this cooler morning so I could see where the fitness is, because it's just been absolutely brutal. But I've actually made more progress than I thought. Man, Sunday was dark. That was dark. I'm sorry. I apologize. I was in a dark place after that long run. Well, they say that was always darkest before the dawn. Well, look at that. We turned the corner. Yeah, my heart rate is 125 right now, cooling down because it's 70 instead of 90. Craziness. Dude, this is up there. This is up there. This might be on the power rankings. If it's not on the power rankings, I don't know what I'm going to take out, but if it's not number 5, it's number 6. This might have to be on it. This is really good. I like this more than the Adios. Bang. Let's go. That's a great shoe right there. Brooks nailed the execution on that one. And it's also great that we got a good weather morning here. That's going to tell me a fake PR again. Stop it. That was not my fastest 10K. Stop it. 11 miles, 6:49 pace. And look at that pace graph for the tempo, man. So smooth. We were just absolutely dialed in, especially for the back half. Do you see that? Dude, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Average heart rate 150. We were just locked in, man. That was a great run. 492 feet of elevation. Yeah, this is a really good shoe. This is going up in the no gimmicks category. This and the Tokyo are definitely out of these latest summer releases for racers. These are the ones to consider, man. The upper dialed, the foam feels really good. This is ZoomX. It even looks like ZoomX when you push it. If you've ever touched the back of a Vaporfly and pushed it in, it has the same exact look. It's even crinkling like ZoomX. You see these crinkle lines? Man, they have created one of the best Vaporflies. And look at this. Hold on. I rarely do this. Hold on.
Bro. This is a dog whistle. A shoe dog whistle. Look at the bottom of the Vaporfly too. Look at the forefoot rubber. Look how it even contours and comes down here. And then look at the back. Are you kidding me? They're telling us. Matter of fact, I think they did this for this exact moment in this video. There is no way that they didn't want this to happen. Look, they even did the cutouts and the lines on the forefoot rubber in the same exact way. I mean, come on. And the thing is, dude, they completely nailed it. This is the best Vaporfly since Nam. Dude, this is up there with the Vaporfly too. That's crazy. Just look at that. Round of applause for Brooks, man. They did it. It's genius. It is absolutely genius what they have done with this thing in terms of making the Vaporfly dupe. I mean, just look at even the upper. Man, did you see this? The Vaporfly 2 has this fabric right around the top of the upper. The Hyperion Elite 5 has the fabric right around the top of the upper. I don't know how I didn't see this before. Everything about it is so similar. Even look, the contouring of the foam on the inner or medial side. Bang, same exact contouring on the medial side. And the rubber is the dead ringer giveaway. I mean, from the top of the uppers, they look identical to the lacing system is identical, but the rubber is really the dead giveaway in terms of how they laid it out here. And then the back, I mean, it's a wrap. Game over. And the fact that they did no cutouts on the bottom, which is exceedingly rare these days, the Sky Tokyo and this, maybe the two only racers that don't have it. Maybe I'm missing one, but it's very rare for a racer not to have it. Maybe the Ultra Vanish or something. But that is harkening back to this. So similar. But the thing is, they crushed it. They killed it. They 100% nailed the execution. And one of the things I pride myself on with this channel is being fair to all the brands. No matter if I like the brand or dislike the brand, I want to be fair. And it's funny, sometimes, like with the Instagram, for example, if I say something bad about Nike, I'm a Nike hater and I'm paid by Adidas. And if we put a Nike shoe on the roundup, we're paid by Nike and we're Nike shills. But I try to be fair. If a shoe is good, I'll say it. If it's bad, I'll say it. And with the Hyperion Elite 4 PB, that thing was exceedingly mid. That's the word of the day, exceedingly. It means above and beyond. That thing was so middle of the road, lackluster, maybe even a step before or below mid. The execution just wasn't there. The cutout felt like it was pointless and maybe even detracting from the purpose of the shoe. The PIBA felt that it was in there just for the sake of having PIBA, just so they could say it's PIBA. I mean, literally, that was the entire point of the Hyperion Elite 4 PB. It was to have PIBA. There was no other point of that shoe other than to introduce the polyether black amide foam into a Brooks racer. With this, it is everything that I was hoping the Hyperion Elite 4 PB was, because at its best, I could see, if I was squinting, this kind of feels like what we liked about the Vaporfly. It kind of has that soft, fluffy feel. The difference was, and this is where PIBA can either go good or go bad. That's not right. That's not how you speak. This is where the implementation of PIBA can either succeed or fail. Is sometimes it can be too soft and too fluffy, because that's why we like PIBA. It is the soft and bouncy foam. That's notoriously what it is. Of course, there are firmer implementations of it like Power Run HG and FF Turbo Plus, but by and large, PIBA is the soft, bouncy foam, and that's why the plates were introduced to stabilize it. So at its best, you get Endorphin Pro 3, you get Vaporfly 2. Where are some other PIBA shoes out there? Even the Endorphin Speed, right? The Power Run PB, the Zoom X, and some of the A6 foams. Those are the good PIBAs. At its worst, it's even worse than having a too firm ratio, because at least with a too firm, race shoe, I can just get it going and pushing hard. At least it gives me a platform for a toe off. With a too soft foam, like in the Hyperion Elite 4 PB, it just turns into mush. And there's not much to push off of. And that was my issue with it. It wasn't dialed in. It was too soft in the forefoot. It wasn't comfortable enough for the longer miles. It wasn't a shoe that I wanted to take out for a relaxed run or a 20 miler. It could do it, yeah, but it just fell flat. And then it didn't have the bite and the snap and the aggression in the forefoot that I wanted for threshold pace and faster. Man, this thing, they've addressed all of those issues. I don't know if it's a completely new reworked version of the DNA Gold, or it's just a plate position thing, or it's closing up the bottom, or maybe it's a combination of all three, but it comes together beautifully here. It is so cohesive. I still can feel that there's a carbon plate in the forefoot, and I was saying here, jogging the first, well, not jogging, but running the warm-up, oh man, I can still feel some of that carbon clap. Make that carbon clap, make that carbon clap, but not as bad here, or really as noticeable at all as the 4. So they've cleaned all that up. The fit is incredible, so dialed, and that was one of the things the Hyperion Elite 4 had going for it, and that's also one of the things that the Vaporfly has always had going for it. The fit is just amazing. When you lace it up, it has that race day feel. You put this thing on, Vaporfly 2, you are ready to go, baby. And this is one of the few black dark colorway shoes that makes me feel like I want to run fast, and that's all because of the fit. It fits like a racing shoe. This was actually my second carbon plated racing shoe ever. I had the Endorphin Pro 3 and I had this, and now look at this. We're 3 Vaporfly generations on, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, this one was a great shoe, legendary. I think there's some Nike athletes, at least there was last year and the year before, who still raced in this. A lot of the elites were pulling the Vaporfly 2 over the 3 because the 3, again, like the 4 PB from Brooks, it had that too soft forefoot with not enough bite. This does not have that issue, and it harkens back to exactly what this feels like, and it is just uncanny how similar. I mean, it even looks like Zoom X. Can you see this white here? This looks like Zoom X, dude, from the bottom. It looks like a Nike Zoom X. So they crushed it. They crushed it. I really enjoy this shoe. I loved the Vaporfly 2. That was one of my, I don't know if one of my favorite races of all time, but has a special place in my heart. I got a lot of fast workouts and races in that. I actually got a bad race in that. I got DQ'd. I was second place in a small race. And this is the thing, if you're running any of these small races and you're running a 90-minute half marathon or anything below, you can usually be up in the front. And that also means a lot of the time you're running by yourself, because most people who are entering these local races are around 2 hours, and you'll have people here and there who are faster and slower, but out by myself, took a wrong turn, and it was really disheartening. This was actually a tough time in my life, in my career. I was searching for a job. I've told this story before, but I was running past a volunteer, and I thought I had missed a mile, and I said that to him. I said, I was running by myself. I think I might have missed a turn, and this guy yells at me, "They're gonna DQ you." And so I just got in my head and I dropped out of their race. And it turns out, I looked at the race photos later, he got third place. So he was also at a much different phase in his life and running career than I am. So he probably was putting more stock into the race. But yeah, this is the shoe I got DQ'd in. And then I actually ran a different half marathon in it. And I think I got a 1:22 or 1:23 half at the time, which was my PR. And just a lot of solid runs and workouts. So I like this shoe. The performance was great, has a special place. And sometimes when we look back on these nostalgic products, it can all just be the drug of nostalgia. But I ran in the Rocket X2 yesterday, or X3. I ran the Sky Tokyo last week. I've run in the Fast R3 a bunch over the past few months. I've run in the Adios Pro 4 a few times. I've run the Alphafly a bunch. And I can say with confidence that this is in the same top tier category when it comes to speed and marathon performance. Let's throw up the run from today. So plan was few mile warm up into a 5 mile tempo. This is my new training strategy for the summer. We're calling it limo. If you want to be a serious running person, you have to have frameworks and systems and processes with acronyms that nobody understands. So this is my acronym for the summer, limo. Less impressive, more often. And it's funny because I was saying this yesterday, and my workout on Strava yesterday, it got something like 1 or 2 comments. Meanwhile, if I do a 20-mile long run with pace in there, it will get like 20 comments or something. So this is my point. you can't be doing these workouts in the summer just for the clout and the kudos and for it to look good, because you're just going to completely waste yourself. It needs to be, let's execute with a purpose. So that's my training system right now. We're pulling down the mileage in terms of the intensity of the workout. So yesterday I did 5 mile tempo, right around the same pace, and today another 5 mile tempo. So that's 10 miles at a 2:30 marathon pace, back-to-back days. Today I was actually faster than yesterday on the second day of this back-to-back, and the weather is super kind to us. That's my guy Justin putting in the work in the weighted vest, but the weather was kind to us. And I was saying as I was walking up here, man, it's so much cooler. And then I checked the weather, it's 80 degrees. And it's funny because I went on Strava, and one of my friends out in the UK was saying it was super hot for his workout. And I looked at the temperature and it said 68 degrees. So it's relative for everybody. But if you are in the US Southeast or another hot climate, I know we have friends down in Panama and all over the world on the Subwell app. If you're training in a hot climate over the summer, man, it will make you a fitter, faster, and stronger runner. I showed up to Chicago last year and I executed the plan perfectly. I didn't have to worry about the variables. And meanwhile, after that race, I actually heard people saying it was hot. And I said, what? Hot? Hot who? I was cold. So I actually remember walking to the start line and shivering. So it can help training in the heat like this. But plan for this run, 2 mile warm up into a 5 mile tempo. I was just so even and smooth and right on target with the shoe. And that's what it feels like. And the Vaporfly 2 was very similar, man. You get into that marathon pace and it locks you in. And it's not a demon time shoe. And when I say demon time shoe, what that means, it's like the Hyperion Max 3. That was a demon time shoe. Fast R3, demon time shoe. Alpha Fly 3, demon time shoe. They're the shoes that want you to dig in and that reward you for throwing down power and for gritting it out. You don't need to throw down. This has that floating along feel, and maybe it's slightly, I don't know if it's slightly firmer than the 2, but definitely a firmer forefoot feel. And you can see the plate is super rigid up here, which is a good thing. So firmer than the 3, or just at least a firmer feel, more substantial feel, but really strong feeling, man. And of course, it's not all the shoe, but it felt that it was just so evenly matched with what I wanted to do. It kept up. When I wanted to press, I could press. When I wanted to pull back, I could pull back. I didn't have to run faster. I was just locked in. I set it and forget it, man. If you look at these splits, I think it was something like 543, 541, 543, 540. So I was just 4 seconds difference maybe from the fastest and slowest mile, or 5 second difference. So smooth, so natural to run him, and also so easy to turn it over. So man, if you like the Vaporfly 2, this is gonna be a no-brainer as a replacement. I just think the question for me still is, like the Vaporflies, how is this gonna do for the long run? This was only a 10 mile run. They had the marathon pace in there, so it can go fast. I also felt that I could probably dial it up and felt good on the strides. I actually felt okay on the strides. Wasn't the best. I said when we were warming up, good, but not great. That was probably the weakest part of the run, the warm up and the stride. So maybe not the 5K shoe because it doesn't have the demon time, but it really does feel like it could hang for me for half marathon pace and marathon pace. My question is just going to be, for the longer runs, will the forefoot get too soft, and just will the platform stand up? But in terms of what they've done with this shoe, technically in the construction, the upper is incredible. One of the best race day uppers out there, very similar to the Vaporfly. And I mean, the material is even similar to the Vaporfly. And I was laughing at Brooks in the 4 for stealing Nike's IP, but in here, they've almost improved on it. So yes, it's very similar, but they've done it in a way that makes it a really good shoe. The back is similar as well. I'm also going to be curious to see how will this foam hold up. I do have to say though, after one run, it looks like it's going to hold up better than ZoomX. ZoomX, after one run like this, you would have this chipping away. I remember in my Vaporfly 3, which I did not bring down here, but similar thing to this, you can see all this foam is chewed up back here. The ZoomX does fray and chip and come off the shoe. We're seeing some of the paint rub off on the outside, the lateral side here. So maybe that will happen, but I'm optimistic that this foam will hold up better than the ZoomX. TBD. But yeah, in terms of what they've done with just keeping this flat, no cutouts. I think it really helps for you to land anywhere. You can land on the back, you can land on the middle, you can land on the front. The plate position is great. I can drive power, but for me, it felt best when I was just landing right up here with strength, activating that plate, and keeping the turnover right in that moderate zone. So felt so strong at 540, right around that, probably a 170 cadence. Just truly awesome shoe for that. So let's go through those 3 questions, and those will probably answer any of the other things that I wanted to talk about. So first, how does this do compared to its intended purpose? This is designed to be a fast race day shoe. It's also designed to give that soft, bouncy feel with the PIBA. They've done a fantastic job at that. This DNA Gold is finally fulfilling its promises. I don't even want to say finally because they just debuted it this year, but the DNA Gold is fulfilling the promises of what I personally expect from a PIBA foam. And the crows are mobbing now. Yeah, DNA Gold fulfilling the promises of what I expect from a PIBA foam. Soft, bouncy, feels light. And that's the thing with this shoe. It's not the lightest weight. It's 50 grams heavier than the Tokyo, but it didn't, as I got into that run, it didn't feel like it was slowing me down. The Tokyo still probably has it in terms of that fast toe off and just giving me 2%, 3% more, but I don't know, it's close to me, and I'll have to do a head-to-head. But in terms of just thinking about, and this is what I've been trying to do recently, first, just think about its intended purpose in a vacuum. If I'd never run the Tokyo before, I would race in this. And that's the number one question with how does it do versus its intended purpose. Can it hang for race day? 100%. Yes, I could race in this. I would feel confident going for a marathon PR in this. I would feel confident if I needed to going for a 5K or 10K PR in this. And that brings me to question number 2 versus the other race shoes. Doesn't feel that it's the absolute best or most optimal for 5K, 10K pace for me personally, where I'm going to be trying to get down near 520, 510, 5 flat. I would prefer to have the extra aggression and the lighter weight of a Fast R3. Or what else? The Tokyo also felt that maybe it was just had a bit more snap, but the additional comfort and that fluffy ZoomX feel you get from this makes it feel like more the best version for that marathon PR shoe if you want the soft comfort. And the nice thing is it's not too aggressive, and it also doesn't feel like it's pandering. With the Rocket X3, that one to me, it felt like it was pandering to a certain type of runner. And this is what I was saying yesterday about the whole mid-packer thing. Something about that expression just doesn't stick right with me. Who you calling mid? Mid-packer who? Just because someone's running a certain pace, they could be in front of one race. They could also be in the back of another race. I'm a 2:39 marathoner. Depending what marathon I show up at, I could either be in first place or I could be in last place. So who you calling mid, bro? And yeah, with the Rocket X3, I like that they're offering something more stable, but it just feels like they've made it a worse version of what it could be and slowed it down. And there's some shoes out there that do that. They're overly catering to a certain audience. This one, it doesn't feel like that. This one, it feels like very similar to the earlier versions of the Vaporfly. Anybody can run in it and have a good time. It just depends what distance you want to go. I cannot say the same thing about the Fast R3. That does not feel like a shoe that anybody can run in and have a good time. But because of what they've done, especially with the bottom of the foam here, no cutouts, decently wide base, and having a foam that's soft but not overly so, it makes it a nice option. And this is the other thing I wanted to talk about. These holes here, I don't think they're doing anything. Yeah, I really don't think that is adding anything at all. It looks cool, but beyond that, I mean, maybe it's letting the midfoot compress more, but it's not giving you any sort of crazy bounce in the midfoot or doing what the Alpha Fly AirPods are. So it's really all a design feature here. You're not getting any additional bounce from it. And for most people out there, you're either going to be more landing on the back or more toward the front. This is not really where you land. It's almost impossible to land just directly on this. You either have to land flat-footed or on the heel or on the forefoot. So you're not gonna, it's not a landing zone type of thing. It's just a cool design feature. It's not detracting from it either. It might also be saving some weight. Anyway, yeah, it doesn't feel like the absolute fastest. For example, if I had a 1 mile time trial, this is likely not going to be the one I personally pick. But for the right runner, especially someone who wants something more comfortable for their races, the Fast R3 is going to kick your behind, bro. I was telling you, that thing is like the race car, the F1 car that you're only going to drive at the track. This one is a lot more approachable and accessible. It feels like more of a training partner that I could bring to the track or do a tempo out here. Also, because you don't have any gimmicks on the bottom and a wide enough base, you could take this on some fire roads to do any marathon pace tempos. I mean, you're not going to want to take this on a real trail, but gravel seems that it would do fine. I would have to test it, of course, but there's nothing about it that is going to hinder you for anything you want to do. So it's a shoe that will allow you to do pretty much whatever you want to do with a fast running shoe. And that is not the same as anything else in the category. And also thinking about this versus some of the new gen shoes, Adios Pro 4, Saucony Endorphin Elite 2, not too soft. Is not too soft, thankfully. Thankfully, that can be the issue. Not too soft and not too mushy. Now, question number 3, how does this compare to everything else on the market? This is a race shoe. This does have the carbon plate. I would not use this as a daily trainer, and we had the Rocket X3 out here yesterday, and I was saying that feels like more of a training shoe. Yet this is the one that I am only gonna pull really for workouts, even versus something like the Cloud Boom Strike, which is a fast shoe when I want it to be. I did some runs in that where I was just mobbing around the hood, having fun. I'm not gonna pull this unless it's a real workout. It has that special race day feel. It has the speed quality to it, man, just like the Vaporfly too. If you wouldn't pull the Vaporfly for a daily run, you're not going to pull this for a daily run. So it has comfort compared to the category, and it's more accessible compared to the category, but definitely not the shoe I'm going to pick for everyday miles. I'd much rather go for the Nova Blast, the Aeroglide, the Magnify, etc., etc. So first run, man, my grade on this is an A. This is a really solid shoe. There's a high chance you're going to see this on the power rankings. Yeah, this is a tough market right now. Let's see. I think I have the Edge coming later this month. That's probably the last one I'll need to test. This last batch, I didn't love the Edge Paris. That was nowhere near my top 5. So yeah, if I had to just do this off the top of my head right now in terms of current power rankings, not in any order, but just the ones that would make it, Deviate and Fast R3, those two are 100% locked. I think is the Alphafly still gonna have to hold on there. The Tokyo, and then this, is that the top 5? What am I leaving out? I know people are gonna want to see the Adios, but for me, I think I'd take this over the Adios. That's a close one, but this just felt more natural to me. With the Adios, I always do feel that I have to land a certain way. But the last workout I did in that was a tempo run, not a tempo, a threshold run, which I'm pressing harder to get those paces than I am at marathon pace. So yeah, that might be the top 5. I don't know if I'm leaving anything out, but really solid shoe, man. Brooks killed it with this. It's clear that they copied Nike, but the execution of it is really good. And guess what? Nike abandoned this template. The Vaporfly 4 does not feel anything like this. They've changed it a lot. So if you're gonna do that, I think it's fair game to do what Brooks has done here, and they've made it different enough. I mean, it is very similar. If you even look at the lacing, look how the lace, I don't even know what you'd call these, the eyelets here are diagonal and aggressive. And then look at can you see it's kind of dark? But look at where the eyelets here are. Look how they're going. They're diagonal and aggressive. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, I think it's fair game that they've done that. Brooks absolutely crushed it with this thing. Thumbs up. This is an A. Stay tuned for the 20-mile long run, or don't, I guess, because we're only allowed to do one video on each shoe now, and this is old news. This was old news as soon as I ran it. It's like the depreciation from a car. You know, that's why I'll never buy a new car. I always buy used cars. As soon as you buy a new car, say you buy a car that's $50,000, you drive it off the lot, immediately is worth $36,000 or $42,000. That's the same thing with these shoes. As soon as it appears on the channel, nobody ever wants to see it again, even if it's a great shoe. So yeah, expect to never see this one again. It is really good. I guess if you want any additional testing insights, you're gonna have to spend the money on it yourself to get it. No, I'm just kidding. I will do more testing on this. I'll do some comparisons. Really solid shoe. Brooks finally has a real racer.
Yeah, the weight, that should be the thing I talk about. I was pretty harsh on them for the weight, but races are not run in the lab. Workouts are not run in the lab. And when I'm out there and just mobbing, I'm not thinking about the weight unless I'm thinking about the weight, right? So if the ride is good enough for it to be bouncing me along, for me to feel strong, for me to feel supported by the shoe, I'm not going to be thinking about the weight. But if it's like the Rocket X3 where I'm saying, what's that crunchiness under the forefoot? Is the winglet plate giving me a weird toe-off experience? Then I'm going to be thinking about the weight. But if I'm just floating along, bopping along, and holding pace and the shoe isn't distracting me, I'm not going to be thinking about the weight. So I don't mind the weight at all, and it's not a heavy shoe by any means. I mean, compared to even a standard daily like the Aeroglide or the Nova Blast, much lighter than that, 50, 60, 70 grams lighter than a lot of the daily trainers out there. So I wouldn't worry about the weight. And for most of us out there, the weight is not going to make a difference. Even for the elites, man, the elites can run 205 in a pair of pegs if they needed to, if they have the fitness. So that's all I have for you today. Shout out Brooks putting in work. Hyperion Elite 5 is a good one. That's what happens when Pyrus and Crips all get along. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. It's crazy how these small changes can make a difference, man, because it's not a completely 100% different shoe from the 4PB, but they just tweaked it just enough to be a bit. I'm not gonna say it. Oh my god, hold on, one more thing. So I showed you the 2 versus, or the Vaporfly 2 versus this. I mean, versus the 3, it's even more noticeable. Look, I didn't realize that the Vaporfly 3 has this cutout right here, and then the Hyperion does. And if you look on the bottom, I mean, look at those lines. Look at those lines on the back. That's crazy, dude. Very similar. But the thing is, look, Nike went with the cutout, no cutout. I think the no cutout gang is winning right now. The Tokyo, no cutouts. This guy, no cutouts. Stop it with the cutouts. Stop it.